this. All this work for nothing. Hey, Sean. I don't know if this is going to stay on. I've been working on my setup all day and I'm still having problems now. I finally got it where I needed to be and it's giving me problems. How are you doing? Hopefully, I'm hoping this is going to work because I cannot believe after all the hours of work that I did to set this up so I can show y'all how to make soaping videos. I mean, soaping, how to calculate your own soap. I can't believe after all this setting up today, it's acting crazy. But I feel like I'm extremely close. I'm going to wait a couple more minutes. You know, it's interesting. My eye is hurting a little bit, so I will be wearing my glasses. Hi, Mrs. G. I'll be putting my glasses on today a little bit because one of my husband's managers, one of his employees had pink eye, and I'm hoping he didn't bring it home because this eye, if you can see, it's swollen, has been bothering me. I literally was up like all night long. I forgot to put my rings back on. I was up all night long, rubbing my eye, watering. Like it's just been horrible. So I'm hoping I'm not getting that pink eye that he had. But other than that, I'm doing well. I'm doing well. So I'm hoping I'm not. I didn't want to cancel it, but you can see it's swollen. It's not pink or red or anything like that, but it hurts. It actually is hurting. That's a lot of light. But so I gonna do some revamping because I always pick Sean's brains to help me with the social media side because as a 50-plus-year-old woman, I am not computer savvy. I'm not social media savvy. And I took some of her advice. And so I've been revamping things. So I kind of been in the bed, but I've been revamping, still working and revamping things. So this week, I'm actually going to go live 3 times. I'm going to, do my Monday live and my Thursday live, but I'm going to go live Saturday as well. Both Thursday and Saturday are going to be StreamYard lives. So for anybody who crafts, they're more than welcome to come up on a panel. One thing I did was when I was looking up some information, I'm not going to call it collabing because that kind of sounds like you're just doing it to gain followers and views and build your channel, things like that, which we want to build our channels. However, I did read where having these type of collaborations is actually good for your business as well as, others as well, as long as it's ran properly. Welcome in to whomever just came in. So I do kind of want to still start doing some of those things. I Thursday's live Thursday StreamYard is going to be I'm going to allow people to come up on the channel, but you have to be crafting in order to come up. You can't come up just to chit chat and not actually be doing some crafting and explaining the crafts as well. But Saturday is going to be more of just a wine and design that I haven't done in a while, and you'll be able to chit chat on that one as long as there's not being disruptive to those who are crafting and if they're trying to explain their craft. So I want to keep it organized, but I'm also going to try to start bringing in people, some experts. I'm going to reach out to the cosmetic chemist that I work with and a few others and things of that nature, other experts in crafting areas to come in and, give pointers and tips and then of that nature. So I'm gonna start trying to do that on the Saturdays that I do decide to go live. But I am not going to belabor the time. I'm going to actually jump right in. Right. Right. So Sean says collabs are a good thing. Just make sure you get to know the person a little to make sure that they are like-minded people. I absolutely agree. Um, you don't want to have it be a one-sided, relationship, or someone who's coming on and taking over and being disruptive to the live when people are watching and viewing, and then you can't have anybody interact. Like today I started to do a stream yard today, since I'm going to be teaching it, so y'all could come up on the panel and ask questions. But I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and just walk through this app. And I hope this camera's not too high, because I try to do it in the portrait mode. I worked on working portrait and having the picture in picture. I worked my butt off and didn't even call my little sis to get the help. But I worked my butt off figuring it out. But as soon as I went live, YouTube said, nope, you can't go live on portrait. And I don't understand why. But that's why I was a couple of minutes late. But uh, you definitely oh, go ahead. You can ask your question, Mrs. Karen. You can ask your question. And so you definitely want to make sure that you definitely are like-minded with those people. You want to make sure that y'all are on the same page, and same maturity level. Let's be completely honest. But I do want to kind of start doing some of those. I didn't want to do them. Actually, Sean had been asking me for quite some time to do them, a while ago, and I kept saying I wasn't ready. Like I kept turning down. Honestly, I kept making excuses. So I didn't want to do lives. Like I was comfortable doing lives on TikTok, but not comfortable doing lives on YouTube. And so until I started doing my own lives, and so and plus with me moving and stuff, that had a lot to do with it. But I am ready to start doing some of those collabs. But like I said, uh Mrs. Karen, go ahead and drop your comment, I mean your question in the okay. I do have a body butter. It hasn't been put up there yet. So actually by tomorrow, everything else will be put up there, because I also am going to have a Mother's Day basket. It's just been a little Mother's Day box, I should say. Hi, Soini. How are you? Good to see you. Welcome in. So that'll be up by tomorrow as well. There's some things that went on, and it kind of took me off my rocker for a few days, and my mind just was not there, and some personal things, and so I kind of been knocked off my rocker a little bit. So I do apologize. I've been a little bit behind. It caused me to be a little bit behind, but I'm getting it together, so I don't look like what I'm going through. So that's all that really matters. Welcome in everybody. If you're a returning subscriber, I'm always grateful for you coming back and supporting my channel. If you're new, please consider to subscribe, like, share, turn the notification bells on so you'll be notified when I go live or put up a post. We're going to jump right in. If you're one of the ones that's in here watching, I still appreciate you watching in the background. Please hit that like button and say hey, because I do know there's a few people that like to come in and watch, see what I'm doing, so they can do the same thing in a couple of days. I'm going to call it out on my own live. So just say hey since you're in here. So I'm gonna flip this. I don't know if it's gonna work, you guys. Like I said, I worked on it all day long. It was working, and now I don't know, but we're gonna go ahead and get started. All right. So it is a little high because, like I said, I had it working for landscape, and I had it in picture in picture. But now all of a sudden that I'm live, it does not want me to do picture in picture. So I'm just gonna be talking you through it. Don't know what happened, but I finally got it. So I'll do a premiere from now on in picture in picture, but we're just gonna work with it. So you want to learn how to make your own homemade soaps. Matter of fact, let's talk about this for 1 second before we get began. So homemade soaps. Homemade soaps is nothing but the process of using lye and oils. And you're bringing those two together to saponify the lye, to saponify the oils, which actually turns into the soap. What type of oils can you use to make soap? Almost anything. almost anything. But what our ancestors used to do back in the day, they used to use a lot of tallow. Tallow, which comes from the cow. They used to use a lot of beef tallow. It is one of the number one oils. They would render the fat from the cow, and that rendering process is, I actually know how to do it. It's a long process. I don't want to do it, but that's what they used to do. They used to use the tallow, which is the fat from the cow, and that's the fat, because you need a fat. Your oils have to be a fat in order to make soap. So they would take that fat, that tallow, and they would turn that into soap. And that soap would be used to wash their bodies, clean their house, and do laundry. So you can take any oil just about to make soap. Like you can just make a basic soap. The common oils that are used in soap making is olive oil and coconut oil, because story has it that Castile soap started in Italy, which I have to disagree with that. Reason being, if you look at the history as to when Italy was founded or created versus when the United States was, oldest country, no matter what nobody tells you, we're the oldest country on the planet. So it could not have started in Italy, because that means our ancestors weren't washing. So it just simply doesn't make sense. But they would use strictly olive oil, which is called Castile. Then people started realizing it wasn't giving as much lather. It's a little bit more slimier. It doesn't give the bubbles that people come accustomed to using. So they started adding coconut oil into it. Once you add another oil into the Castile, it now becomes what is called a Bastille. So there's different things that you can do, and like I said, you can use a lot. Now, I don't know how many oils are on this Soap Calc app, but there are a lot. So if you want to you always want to use a calculator. If you don't know how to really calculate this yourself, you definitely want to use this calculator. And this is the one that I recommend. So now let me go ahead and turn you around. So you're going to go to, you're just simply going to type in Soap Calc. I hope you can see that. So let me go back, and I hope y'all can see this, because like I said, I really had it all set up for you guys, and I don't know what happened. YouTube is playing. So you want to type in Soap Calc, calculator for short, CALC. Typically, it's the very first one that comes up. You want to click on Soap Calc. All right. So now here is the page you want to use. There's a lot of advertisements on here. This is what keeps the page free, because for years they've been trying to charge us. So they have now a lot of advertisers on here to try to keep this app free for us. It did go down for about a good 6 months, and we were freaking out. All right. So now what's important to you is at this point here. So this is a touchscreen computer, so I'm going to kind of touch it as well. So one of the most important things is knowing what type of lye you need to use to make what type of soaps. There are two types of soaps. There's the bar soap and there's the liquid soap. So for our bar soap, and this app will always set itself automatically to the lye that is used for bar soap, because it is the most common soap making in this world, actually. So it's going to be the NaOH. That's the sodium hydroxide. So it's going to always set itself to that. But if I want to make liquid soap, I'm simply going to click on KOH for my liquid soap. All right. And as you see, it automatically checked itself for 90% KOH. You do not want a soap if your lye is not at least 90%, because it's not pure if it's not. But I would suggest that you always try to find something that's going to be 99%. There are plenty out here. I showed you on my last video that I got to upload again for you. Since I set the roll time on that Premiere, but I'll reload that video so you can see that, where you definitely want to use 99% lye. All right, so we're going to go back to NaOH. Here is when you want to determine, you want to let the soap calculator know how much of the weight of the soap that you want to make. All right. So it automatically sets itself to 1 pound. So if you're someone who works in ounces, you would just click it to ounces. Oh, sorry, that's grams. You'll click it to ounces. If you and it's going to automatically go to 16 ounces because you know that's 1 pound. Yes, Sean? Okay, so I actually love oil pulling. So my husband cooked before live. I was like, "You gotta help him cook, 'cause I'm hungry. I want to eat before the live." And so, the interesting thing, I was like, "I need to eat and brush my teeth before this live." So what I did, and I'm gonna turn you around for a second. What I did was, I like to use it all the time. I do use oil pulling. I buy one as well as I, kind of make my own. Now I know a lot of people like to use the coconut oil. I don't, as you know, I've told y'all before, I don't like coconut oil. However, it is very beneficial. But there is an oil that is way better than coconut oil for oil pulling, and that's sesame seed oil. You don't want to get the toasted, you just want to get the regular sesame seed oil. That has way more benefits for oil pulling than anything, which is also oil you can see soap with, but you definitely don't want to because it's expensive oil. But I absolutely love it. So what I did was after I ate my food, I put some of my oil pulling on it, my sesame seed oil pulling onto my brush and brush my teeth. Because since I use paste also earlier that I use, because I make my own toothpaste, and I'll tell y'all about that another time. But I use my oil pulling to brush my teeth before this live. So, but it does have benefits. It helps with the whitening. It helps with receding gums, which I actually am dealing with receding gums, which is why my teeth are starting to shift. Because when I got my tooth pulled, it caused my teeth to start shifting, and it caused me to start losing gums. And so that's when I learned about oil pulling, because it doesn't bring back your gums, but it helps stop the gums from receding. Yes, sesame seed oil. Yes, I personally love sesame seed oil the best. It has way more benefits. Now, I heard somebody say they use olive oil. I don't know what the benefits of olive oil is in oil pulling, but I do know a tablespoon of olive oil a day will help keep that doctor away because of those omegas that are in the olive oil. So olive oil is good. I will occasionally take a tablespoon. Yes, it's nasty, but it is most definitely beneficial, and it does not raise your insulin, or if you have high blood pressure or anything like that, it will not raise your levels or anything like that. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. But sesame seed oil is far better than the actual coconut oil I'm pulling. So that's just my suggestion. And I also like to use a little bit of spearmint in mine to give it a little bit more flavor so I don't gag. So, but yes, I love oil pulling. All right, let's finish. So, and if you want to do grams, it calculates the grams for you. So 1 pound of grams is, 1 pound in grams is 500 grams. And so you can use whichever one that you want to use. Now, I always keep it on pounds, and I'm going to tell you why, but I use grams later, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So I always keep it here because even though grams is a more accurate weight than ounces and pounds, you're going to still get an accurate calculation. And like I said, I'll show you in that next part. So here's a little bit worse, a little bit more difficult. This is now 3, which is your water. It's your water as percent of oils. What that means is how much water you want to have to your oils. Now it automatically defaults itself to 38 percent. Now, if you are making something like you want a harder bar of soap, you can easily change this. I'm not going to give my recipe, but we are going to create one on here. So if you're not advanced, I will tell you it's okay to go as low as 32%. Now, for us advanced soapers, sometimes we drop that down all the way down to 20 or 25. But you definitely have to be an advanced soaper, because if you not, your soap is going to come to trace in seconds and you're not going to know what to do. It will come into trace faster. So when I'm making a pure olive oil soap, I'm definitely lowering that water content, because that simply just means that once you're finished, your soap is finished saponifying, you're going to have less water in it. It's going to take a little bit less in curing time for the water to evaporate, because your curing simply means your water is evaporating over the course of time, which is making a bar a little bit harder. But that's always going to default itself to 38%. Once you start making soaps, and I have a sheet that I worked on last night while I was laying in the bed, and it's going to be a batch sheet. So it's going to be available on my website so that you could purchase it, so that when you're formulating your soaps, and you can print this out too, and I'll show you that in a minute as well, but you'll be able to formulate your soaps, and you'll be able to write down what you put in your thing, in your soaps, and you can write the batch out and all that, and you can start doing some testing of some formulations. And now number 4, we have what is called super fat. Now, I'm going to switch it around. Super fat, it simply just means the amount of oils that are not going to be saponified after the lye has saponified the rest of the oils. So that's listed at, it automatically defaults itself to 5%. So let's say, example, everything works in hundreds. Everything's 100. So if we have 100% and you're doing a 5% super fat, when this calculator calculates your lye solution to your oils, how much oils you need, it's going to do it at 95%. There's going to be a 5% that's going to be still left behind. What does that mean? 2 things. So when I made the soap for you guys on live, I actually added the 5% already in the beginning. Typically, I don't do that, because I'm more of I'm an advanced soaper. So I don't add my 5% in. And I will do another live showing you what I mean by that. I add my 5% in after I come to trace. Now, 2 things that can work against you if you're doing what is called cold process soap, which is the way you see me make soap. It actually works better in that process when you're doing what is called a hot process soap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another soap, and it's going to be hot process, so you can see that that process, how I do that process, and I'll show you how to do the 5% super fat afterwards. But that just simply means that's the oils that are going to be left behind, meaning that once you come to trace, you're going to see some oils laying on the top of your soap. Don't be alarmed. That's the way you created your formula. But if you don't want any oils left behind, you would then change this, and you can always change it. Change it. Then you might want to change it to 0. It is nothing wrong with having a 0% super fat. Now, when would you need a 0% super fat? When you're making a cleaning soap. If you're making a soap strictly for cleaning, why would you need oils laying behind? Let's flip you around again. And I hope this is okay, me flipping back and forth, since it messed up my dual filming. YouTube would let me do the dual filming. If you're making a cleaning soap, you're making a soap for your laundry, you don't need oils left behind, because those oils that are being left behind is simply just to add moisturizing for your skin. So why would you need that? So the only time I change my calculator to 0 is when I'm making my laundry soap or my base soap for my household cleaning. Lonnie, we don't have any more of that Fabuloso, do we? Yeah. Can you grab it for me when you get a chance? So I made a... Okay, not the one I made. Okay. So I thought I had some left. We must have just used it. But I make my own Fabuloso. So I buy the Fabuloso fragrance, and then I make my own Castile soap. And so I just add my fragrance in when I need to add it in. But I make my own cleaning soap. But then I make my own laundry soap as well, and I don't add any fragrances to that, because I make my own conditioner. I mean, not conditioner, excuse me, fabric softener, and I add the fragrance to that. So you can, but that's the only time you want to use 0% super fat, because if you're making a 0% super fat soap for skin, it's going to be very drying for you and your possible customers if you choose to sell this soap. All right, so I want to keep that at 5%. Or if you decide, oh, you know what, maybe somebody has a skin issue, let's say a skin issue, and you're making a soap for that person with a skin issue, and you want a little bit more moisturizing, you can change that super fat to say 7. or 8. You can change it. But just know that that's going to be the amount of oils that's not going to be saponified by the lye. All right. So we're going to move over here. Now, there's going to be some things on here that is going to be a little confusing. You're going to learn them over time. I'm not going to really go over them like that because it will confuse you. But now we're down to 5. And let me change this back to 5 because I want you to see a recipe. Okay, so here you're going to have the qualities of different fatty acids that are in the soap. You're going to see this later in another step. I'm not going to go over this right now. So now let's go right here. This is 5 as well. Here now is your whole list of oils. Crisco oil is a great oil as well to make a laundry soap or cleaning soap. One of the best, depending on if that's the type of oil you use in your home. I used to make Crisco because Crisco's lard. That's all it is. Lard and Crisco I used to use all the time for laundry soap. I don't anymore, but I used to. As you can see, there's pig lard. I mean, any oil you can pretty much think about. I think I've only ever seen 2 oils that is not on this list. I kid you not. I think there's only like 2. All right. So this is where you're going to put your oils on. So like, for example, let's say we're going to make a Castile. I'm going to put, so there's 2 different types of oils, olive oil. I'm not going to get into those right now. You can do your own research on it. But if you're going to make a soap, you're actually going to click on olive oil. You're going to click on it, highlight it, and then it moves us. You got to move over to 6. 6 is now where you're going to add the oils that you're going to put in your formulation. So you're going to click the plus button. So you have the plus button, the minus button if you want to take it away. You're going to hit the plus button that adds your olive oil, right? Don't worry about this right now. And let's go up and we're going to make a Castile soap. This is the one for free that you most definitely can use. So now we're going to get to our coconut oil. And we're going to do our 76-degree coconut oil. I'm not going to go through the different coconut oils. You'll have to do your own research on that one. We're going to add this. Now, here you can do 2 things. You can tell the calculator do you want them to give it to you in percentage, or do you want to give them to you in pounds? You can say I want percents, or I want you to give it to me in pounds. So if I'm doing 1 pound of soap and I'm doing a Castile, I'm going to choose percent. I'm going to tell the calculator that I want 40% olive oil. And I'm going to tell it I want 60% coconut oil because I'm going to make a Castile soap for cleaning. Now, say, for example, you made a mistake. You hit the reset button. It asks you, do you want to clear everything? Yes, clear everything. Once you clear everything, it's going to take you right back to where it was, everything where it was when you first opened up the app. Okay? So anytime you want to formulate, the easiest way is to come up with the percentages. I will tell you absolutely unequivocally, do not work in ounces. It's not going to be accurate. Ounces is the least accurate way of measuring anything. Either work in the pounds on here or work in grams if you're familiar with grams, but do not work in ounces. Now, I know ounces is easy because when we're measuring to make cakes and things of that nature, we're used to using ounces because that's what Americans use. A lot of the Europeans, they use grams, but grams is way more accurate than ounces. But for the sake of this calculator, absolutely use either pounds and then use percents, or use grams and use the percents. All right. So let's go back and put our coconut oil and our olive oil in. So this is a common basic recipe. Now, when you're making a Castile soap, this soap actually can be used for a lot of things. And I mean, when I say a lot of things, this could be a base for laundry. This can be a base for cleaning. This can be a base for a body wash. It could be a base for shampoo. Like it can be a base for anything because it's what you do after you make that base. It's what you put in it after you make that base is what makes it other soaps. So if you come down, if you scroll down a little bit, you're then going to have your calculate this recipe. That's all you need to do for 7. Hit calculate. Wait, what I do? Did I forget to? Oh, sorry, you guys. I forgot to add it. Oh, I sure did. Sorry. Let's do 40 and 60 here. And I'll tell you the reason why I did 60. The reason why I did 60 is because olive oil, technically, according to Soap Calculator, has no cleansing properties, although it is a soap and it will cleanse. It's just gentle. And they say that because it's very gentle, but it will still clean the body. It will not leave you stinking or sweaty or anything of that nature. It's just coconut oil has more cleansing products than any of the oils. It's a little bit more abrasive. That's why it needs to be added with softer oils. All right. So here in part 2, of 7. So part 1 is calculating the recipe. Part 2 is viewing. You click on view the recipe. It opens up another window for you. And it's populating your recipe right now. And hopefully it won't take long because I am using my older computer. I did it purposely because it's a touch screen and it's a little bit bigger. So I hope it won't act up. Hopefully it won't. Let's see. It's going to give you, it is now going to give you, oh, come on now. Come on. It's calculated. It usually doesn't take this long. So let's see what's going on. It normally does not take that long to calculate it. Close. Let's calculate it again. There we go. All right. So now here is your recipe card. Well, I call them recipe cards. Actually, I just seen something new on here that wasn't on here last week. Oh, wow. Okay. I just seen a new, this is very beneficial. We'll have to do another live talking about this because this is what, if you're going to make your own soaps and sell them, you're going to need this by next year, January 1st. So what I like to do immediately, I like to name my soaps immediately. You can type in here. It is in, you're allowed you to, you can't change nothing here, but you can type here and here where it's white. Oh, shoot. Sorry. I'm trying to do this with my iPhone, my cell phone in the middle of me. All right. So now here we have what we put in. Here's the total oils and weight that we have. We have 1 pound. I'm soaping at 30% water to our oil. Here's our 5% super fat. Here's how much lye concentration that we're using. And here's how much water that we're using. Over here, you do not have to worry about. Honestly, you can ignore this entire place. Oh, you know what? And I forgot about this. Sorry, let me go back for a second. There was a section that I missed. A lot of people don't use this. I typically don't use this either. But if you're going to use fragrance, I'm so sorry I forgot about this part. You want to put it in 4. So if you're going to use fragrance and let's say we're making a cold processed body wash. And you want to add, a fragrance in there. And on your label of your fragrance, it says you can use up to 10%. Well, just because it says you can use up to 10% does not mean you want to use 10%. First of all, that's a lot of money going down the drain. And for 2, 10% doesn't make it smell better. Typically, I will go for 6%. And here is the time that it's going to give you the ounces. So, not 6%. Come on. Why is it not opening up? There we go. Oh, something's wrong with it today. Did they actually not allow it to be interactive? Yeah, they took it away. It's not there. You used to be able to change the fragrance there, so it's not there anymore. I do look, it does look like it's a little yellow now and not white anymore. So that may be the issue, but it's not there. But that's where we would normally change the amount of fragrance we want to use. But it also will tell you how much fragrance that you can use as well. Now, where you want to focus on is these sections right here, these two middle sections. So the reason why I told you that you don't have to worry about the grams calculation, because once you get to this part of your soap card, it automatically gives you how much in pounds, ounces, and grams. So if you're a grams person, here it is right here. It automatically gives it to you no matter what you use on that first page. So here it tells me for 1 pound of Castile soap, I'm going to use 172.36 grams of water. For my lye, I'm going to use 70.73. The total weight of my oils is going to be 453.59 grams. And the fragrance is now blank because it doesn't allow you to change the fragrance. And it used to put the fragrance up here too, and I see it changed it. But I'm not sure why it's doing that. But that does not affect your formula because you're going to put your fragrance in it anywhere. It doesn't really calculate the fragrance as far as the lye is concerned. That's not part of saponification. Your fragrance goes in after saponification, so that's probably why they took it off, because it doesn't affect the formula anyway. So I'm assuming that's why they took that off. All right. So now here you have where it says soap weight before your cold process cure or your hot process cook. So CP means cold process, HP means hot process. When you watch me make the oatmeal soap and the turmeric soap, that is the cold process soap making, because I made it simply in a bowl. Hot process is you're cooking the soap, and it is a soap that you can use technically immediately. Unfortunately, the soap is not going to be a hard bar, but it is a soap that can be used immediately after you unmold it. All right. So now here it is, the oils that we've chosen. We've chosen 60% of coconut oil, as you can see here. And we chose 40% of olive oil, which actually told you everything equals 100%. Right? So now we know when we go to make our soap, we need 272.16 grams in coconut oil and 181.44 grams in olive oil. Now, one thing is important is this right here. You do not have to pay attention to this right here. It is not required by law, but so you don't have to worry about this section. This is the section you want to focus on. Now, this section is really just simply for you and your recipes, but you want to focus on this section right here. Now, hardness. Now, let's talk about that for a second. I'll flip you around for a minute. Now, when you're making a bar soap, you want that soap to be hard so that when your customer is getting that soap doesn't it's not going in like a week. I mean, it technically, homemade soaps technically is, but it should last you a little bit more than a good 5 days. A good bar of soap should last your customer approximately 2 weeks if you calculated it or formulated your, formulated your recipe correctly. So this is telling me, and I'll flip you back around now. If you look at the hardness, you want it to range between 29 and 54. So since I'm making a bar soap, you can see I have the hardest that it's going to be. That simply means that when my 4 to 6 weeks is up, that customer is going to have a hard bar soap that's going to last them at least about 2 weeks, as long as it's not sitting, running underwater, being foolish. That bar should last that customer 2 weeks. When you buy soap when you're buying soap from, let's say Dove and what's some of them other places, soaps, I don't know, Irish Spring, I think. When you're buying those soaps, they typically last you about 2 weeks. Why? They're made the same way. They're made with a bunch of hard butters and soft oils. And so, and they're also curing for 4 to 6 weeks, depending on the maker of the soap. So that's why, and then you got to realize that soap is sitting curing even longer than that, because that soap is now going from the manufacturers down to probably the warehouse. Now sitting in the warehouse for don't know how long before it then is getting loaded up on a truck, sitting on a truck for don't know how long. Then after sitting on that truck, I should have brought that soap in here. And then sitting on that soap, sitting on that truck to before it even gets to the store. Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. Don't forget to hit the like button before it hits the store. We don't even know how long it's sitting in the back of the store before it actually gets to shelves. So honestly speaking, they always say that your soap that you buy from the store has probably set a good 4 to 6 months before you purchase it. Now, if you make soap at a astronomical rate and you're able to allow that soap to cure, you can actually do that. Now, Lonnie, where are you? Can you grab that bar of soap out the shower, please? I'm gonna show you a bar of soap that I made last February, and I just started using this bar of soap Saturday. Actually, I just unwrapped it, and it's been sitting. So after my soaps cure, I know you have to wash your hands. So my soap got some other soap on it, so don't judge the way my soap looks. So this is an old soap. So this soap, I made it last February. Did y'all hear that? And when I say last February, I'm talking about 2023. The reason why it's purple, because it was a theme soap that I used to make. I used to make monthly gemstone soaps. So each month, and that's a gemstone that's sitting on the top. It's called an embed. Each soap, I did each month. Yeah, see, that's how it should be. Now, after 4 to 6 weeks, your soap is not going to sound like that. It's going to be a tad bit softer. But after sitting for a year, yeah, it's going to be a rock hard soap. But the lather and the smell still, that has a galaxy scent. It's a galaxy scent that I have brought from a vendor that's no longer in operation. But that's what soap sounds like. That's why when you buy that soap in the store, it's the same way. If you drop your soap on the ground in your home, that soap doesn't break. Well, if I drop that soap right now on my floor, it's not going to break. That's how your soap should be. So you want to make sure that you're using enough hard oils, because butters are oils. They're just hard oils. You want to make sure you're using enough hard oils to give you a hard bar, but enough hard oils that will give you some conditioning. Personally, I don't worry about this because that doesn't stop you from cleaning. You're still going to get clean. I personally don't know why that's there. I've talked to a lot of soap makers. I just don't know why, because it doesn't make a hill of beans. What is most important is this, the conditioning, and this. Now, I like to use creamy. Now, what's interesting, this soap, I told you, it's not going to be as creamy because of the coconut oil. The coconut oil at 60% is what's giving it its hardness, but the coconut oil is what's giving it its bubbly. Because I'm going to show you this. I'm not going to come out of that. Let me show you something. Let's take this off. All right, let's take coconut oil off. And we're going to recalculate this, and I'm going to show you this. So even though my window's still up, we're just going to recalculate it. It's going to change it. Oh, shoot, I didn't change it. Sorry, y'all. I got to change this to 100%. My laptop is a little wobbly because I had to bring it up because of the tripod that I had to use, the stand that I had to use. Now, if we did a 100% olive oil, and if I really was going to make this soap for like somebody with sensitive skin or a baby, I actually would have changed this super fat to 10%. But just for tutorial's sake, we now have a 100% olive oil soap. Look what happened to the hardness. Olive oil soap, as I explained to you, have no hardness to it whatsoever. It says it has no cleansing because it's gentle. It just means it's not harsh on the skin. That's all that simply means. But look how the conditioning jumped all the way up to 82. It went way past the range. But remember, I explained to you, because olive oil is so gentle, it has no bubble. It does not give off much bubbles. It'll give off bubbles very little. However, for olive oil soap, if you're going to do a bar soap, olive oil, that has to sit for 1 whole year minimum. Reason being because olive oil soap is slimy. Very, very slimy. And I know there's probably some videos on YouTube where people have done the test. I've never done the test, but I tried to use one after like 6 months and it was still slimy. It wasn't quite as slimy as it was when like about a couple of months later that I used it, but I didn't do like each month like I probably should have, but maybe I should do it. But it's very, very, very slimy. It is very good though for babies because unscented olive oil soap is probably the best soap. Well, it's not probably, it is the best soap that you can make for a baby. It just needs 1 full year. Even if you're making olive oil liquid soap, it has to sit for a year to make sure that all the water content that's in the olive oil naturally, the water that is in your recipe, because you have to use water, and I would have changed that percentage to 20% just to give myself less water, so it'll kind of get hard fast and come to trace fast. And olive oil soap comes to trace, it takes about a good 30 minutes. You're mixing for like 30 minutes. Trust me, it hurts your arm and it messes with your blender. It could actually blow your blender out. It's not thick, it's thin, but it takes about a good 20 to 30 minutes for it to come to trace. But as you can see, it's very conditioning. So this is good for someone who has a lot of allergens because olive oil, no one has ever been reported to have any allergies to olive oil soap. So let's say, for instance, all right, I want to change this now. Let's calculate a soap. Let's put the coconut oil back in. Matter of fact, I want to add some castor oil. I want to add, let's say, some coconut oil. Let's add some shea butter. And most computers, you can just type the letter and actually brings you down. I don't know why I didn't do that. Let's add some shea butter. I never heard of shea oil fractionated before. That kind of threw me off. Let's add some sunflower oil. How about we do that? All right. So let's say we're gonna do castor oil. You never want to really do castor oil more than 5%. So let's do 5 because that can be very slimy as well. Let's bring olive oil down to, let's say, only 20%. All right. And remember, everything has to equal 100. And if you're not at 100, it'll tell you. And I'll show you that. I'll show you that again. You probably already seen it. Let's bring the shea butter up to 40. So where am I? I'm at 65. All right. So let's say I'm going to put 30% of coconut oil and I'm going to hit calculate. Bam. As you can see, please enter a value for oil number 5, sunflower oil, or remove it from this recipe because I did not put it in there. They used to make it easier for people who couldn't add. They would tell you exactly how much you needed to put in there. So let's say, let's play around and let's say I want to put that at 20% and let's see what the calculator says. There we go. It says total percent does not equal 100. Adjust by taking away 15%. So it will not let you go over 100. So I did that on purpose so you can see that. It will not. It will let you know how much you have to add if you don't have enough versus how much you want to take away. So let's see. Let's take away 5 from the shea butter and make this 10. All right. Now, I calculated. Let's now view our recipe. All right. So now here's our recipe. All right. And it just goes in order. It doesn't come up in alphabetical order. It goes in the order that you put your oils and butters in a calculator. The order doesn't matter. It just calculates it that way. Now, so here we go. For 1 pound bar, 1 pound bar of soap. I mean a 1 pound batch of soap, because it's called a batch. We're gonna have 172.36 ounces grams of water. That pretty much doesn't change, because you know why it doesn't change? We're still using the same total weight. As you notice, 63.19 in our lie. Those are the only two lines you need to really worry about on that top row. All right. So now we're going to drop down to, it's telling me I need 22.68 grams of castor oil, 90.72 in olive oil, and so forth. So it tells you how much you need if you do grams. Now, if your calculator cannot calculate that, unfortunately, you're going to have to use ounces. And if you do not use ounces in that case, you will be over. Like, you can be actually over and have a lot of unsaponified. So I would suggest finding a calculator that actually is called a jewelry calculator you can purchase to make sure that you're getting down to the point. So what I do is I'll do the 22 grams on the regular, and then on the other calculator, I would do the 68 grams just to make sure that I'm getting the exact amounts. Now let's go down to here. Now we have a hardness because of that shea butter being shea butter is a soft butter, but it provides hardness in a bar of soap. So now our hardness is at 44%. I mean 44. And our cleansing is at 20. So it's a very high cleansing, and that could be a little bit drying on the skin because of that cleansing being so high. As you can see here, we have conditioning at 52%. Now that's what we want. We want that high conditioning, because it falls in the range. I always say you kind of want it in the middle to get a nice bar of soap. But this is a pretty good soap just to be making a random soap. Your bubbly is going to be on the low side. So you're not going to have a lot of bubbles. But remember, as I explained to you, according to the INCI, bubbles is just strictly an aesthetic thing. Bubbles have no cleansing properties whatsoever. You can take a bar like that olive oil bar and lather it up on your and when I say no bubbles, it's going to give you very little bubbles, but your bubbles are going to pop like right away. It's going to be like very typically like a large bubble that's going to pop immediately. It's not going to last on your either your loofah or your sponge or your washcloth, but it's still the soap itself is going to get onto whatever instrument you use to bathe with and wash your body. You're going to be cleansed. But keep in mind that bubbles is only an aesthetic thing. It's something that Americans, not nowhere else in this world, has come to like and think that they need because they feel like they're not using soap if they don't have bubbles. You don't need bubbles to wash your clothes, which is why these HEP machines have been put out here. You don't need bubbles to wash your dishes in a dishwasher or your dishes in the sink, and you don't need bubbles in the shower. Now, if you want to take a bubble bath, that's a different story. But bubbles is simply an aesthetic thing, and the actually bubble bath is a good analogy of how it's just aesthetic. You take a bubble bath simply not because you want to take a bubble bath because you want to lay in it and get clean. You take a bubble bath because you want to lay in bubbles because it's an aesthetic thing. All right. So keep that in mind. And we're almost done. And then I personally, like I said, I know how to use the creamy, but you don't really have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about the iodine unless you're advanced. And the INS, I don't know what INS is. I don't think nobody does. In all the years I've ever seen anybody soap, no one ever talked about that either. But this technically is a pretty good bar of soap. Wow, I'm actually surprised. This is a pretty good beginner bar of soap. I like sunflower oil. I used to soap with it all the time. I don't use it a lot now However, I do use it in my body oils because it's a nice drying soap, meaning that it gets onto the skin immediately and it goes into your I forgot the first layer of skin, but it's really good for the sebum of your skin, and it penetrates into your skin immediately. That's what it means, without leaving you greasy. So it's more of a drying oil. So actually this is a pretty good recipe, but remember, I would also name this. So I may want to choose a name and call this let's say conditioning. I may want to just name it conditioning bar soap. And even though I know I use the NaOH, I still may want to name a conditioning bar soap. Always name your soap. Recipes. Always name them so you'll have a good way to refer to them, back to them. Like I said, this bar soap here that I made, this is called Amethyst. That's what I named it on my soap calculator, and that's what it was named when I was selling it. If you go to my Instagram, it's now my personal Instagram. If you go to my personal Instagram or pull an Indulgence Bath and Cosmetics Instagram, it's still up there. You'll see that soap. I used to sell that as well. But this is a pretty good bar soap. I'll do one more. And so let's just reset all of this. And say, for instance, you want to do a laundry soap. You are a person who uses lard. You want to make some laundry soap, or you want to make some cleansing soap. I thought I was going to need my glasses, but I didn't. So let's say, here we go. And let's say we want to make this at 100% for people who eat meat and they use lard. Let's look at this recipe. Now, if I wanted to make a bar soap, as you can see, it's going to be extremely hard. However, lard by itself doesn't have a whole lot of cleansing properties. That doesn't mean that, like I said, it won't cleanse your house. It won't be as cleansing for you to be using this as a cleansing soap. So in order to make this a cleansing soap, I would need to add something to this. I don't need it to be conditioning because lard is a very great soap. Our ancestors used to use lard for making body soap because there was no such thing of not eating meat back in the day. But it doesn't have a lot of bubbles. So if I am a person who eats meat and who doesn't have a problem, then I might want to come up here and say, you know what? I'm going to make me a lard bar and I'm going to add me some coconut oil. So I may want to do this at 40%. I don't know why I'm using that over there. And I want to use this at 60. All right. Now we have a great cleansing soap. This will be a good soap to cleanse your house and your laundry. It won't fade your clothes. I know for a fact because I've used Crisco and lard as soaps that for my home back in the day when I was first making soaps. So I do know it won't fade your clothes. So now we have a hardness, because remember, if this was a liquid soap, this all still comes up for liquid soap. However, it wouldn't matter for liquid soap. Only certain ones on here would matter, which is the cleansing and maybe the bubbling if you need to have bubbles. But here if this was a bar soap for washing our bodies, we now have a hard bar. We have a very high cleansing bar, but we have less conditioning. And we have high bubbles because of that coconut oil. So now what you can do, what I used to do before I learned how to make liquid soap, because liquid soap is harder than making bar soap. I used to make all my cleansing soaps into bars. After I make them to bars, I would let them cure. And then after they cure, I will then take those bar soaps as needed. I would shred them down, add water to them, and that's, like I said, it's a whole nother process that has to be learned though. But you got to know the water ratio at that time now to that bar of soap. And I will melt that soap bar down and turn that into liquid and add my preservative. That was my cleansing soap before I learned how to make liquid soap. So that's what I used to do. It's still a great process, especially if you have never made liquid soap, or you don't know how to store your liquid soap paste, because after you make cold process, it's called a batch. But after you make hot process soap or liquid soap, it's called a paste. And we'll make a liquid soap. I told you we'll do that as well. Actually, it's not. Believe it or not, Sean, it's not, because remember I told you liquid soap has more steps. So it's once you make the bar soap and you put it in a mold, you're waiting anywhere from 12 to 18 hours to unmold it and cut it, because you got to cut it right away after you unmold it, because it'll get too hard to be able to cut it. You just let it sit on the shelf for 4 to 6 weeks, you're done. There's nothing else to do to bar soap. But liquid soap, you have to cook the soap. Then you have to let it cure. You have to make the soap, make it, turn it into a paste. It'll turn into a paste. Then you got to dilute it. You got to know how to dilute that liquid paste. And then you got to let that liquid paste cure the same 4 to 6 weeks, depending on your recipe. Then you got to turn around and dilute it again. So it's not quite as easy. Like I said, maybe next week for my Mondays, I'll make some more soap. I think I have enough KOH over there to make some more liquid soap. Maybe I'll do it on Thursday. I may even do it on Thursday. I don't know. But no, it's not easier though. It actually is harder. It's a longer process as well. It's a lot longer than bar soap. But I mean, it's really that easy. It's not really hard formulating soap using the soap calculator. Just think our ancestors used to have to do this by themselves. And I also like to watch a lot of the African channels on YouTube. They're making this stuff. They're not using these recipes. They're not using honestly, and liquid soap is my favorite. I just bit my tongue. Excuse me. Liquid soap is my favorite to make as far as my cleansing soaps. I was going to show you my Fabuloso because that was a liquid soap. I like to make liquid soaps for that, but I like to bathe with bar soaps. That's just me. But I love making liquid soaps, honestly. I'll make a big batch of liquid soaps, and I'll put it in them 5-gallon buckets from like Home Depot and Lowe's and stuff. And when I need it, I'll just take it down and scoop some into the other container. But I love making liquid soaps too, but it is a longer process. But that, I mean, it's not really hard. Like I said, calculating it, the calculator does most of it for you. All you have to do is just know what type of oils you want to use to achieve what you want to achieve. What I started doing when I was using soap calculator, I was just plugging in a bunch of different oils, hitting calculate, looking at the recipe, seeing if I liked it or not. And if I liked it, I printed it off. I didn't. Oh, let me show you this. And you can print this off. As you can see right up here, you can actually print this recipe. You can literally print it and have it for future references. Oh, I meant to tell you, and I showed you this. I hope you can see this. I hope my computer is up high enough. So, like, say, for instance, this is just a pretty bar soap. Say, for instance, I'm making a Mother's Day soap. I like to add additives. So here, I would say maybe I can type here 1 ounce of rose petals. In my lye solution, I like to add 1 ounce. Oops, sorry, y'all. I'm typing wrong. Dang, I can't see. That's because I can't see. 1 ounce of salt. Sorry, y'all. I told y'all because I can't see. Because when I say my phone is right in the middle of me. No. I'm not trying to. That's an Indian name. Go back. So I may want to do 1 ounce of salt. And why is my computer doing that? 1 ounce. Let's do it this way. Of salt. Act like I can't type, and I definitely can type. And sugar. And then I'll say either I can put it there, I can put it right there, or I can take this comment and I can put it over here. Paste. And I can say, I can't get my fingers on the keyboard right. Add to lye. So, like I said, because these are white, you can definitely type in these. Everything else you cannot change. You cannot change nothing else. But anything you're adding to it, you can put here. Here is where I'll put like, I'm sorry. Here is where I'll put like my batch information. I'll put the date that I made the soap. I'll print that stuff out. Like I'll print this out, although I know the recipe by heart, I'll still print it out each time I make a soap because I also want to put in like the date that I made that soap. Also, that helps me to go back and remember when I made it so I'll know when it's finished curing. And in the event, and it has never happened, but we don't know, things can happen. What if one of your customers break out, have an allergic reaction? Okay, they're not allergic to coconut oil, they're not allergic to shea butter, but they still had a reaction to that, or at least they think they had a reaction to that bar of soap. Now what I can do is I can go back and say, okay, this was the batch that I made. So now let me contact each one of these vendors where I purchased these ingredients from, and I can contact them and say, listen, did you have an issue with this batch that I purchased on this date, because one of my customers had an allergic reaction? And they can then tell me, yes, we did, we had to pull those off the shelves, yours didn't get sent back or thrown away or refunded, or no, we did not. And then I can go from there. So I like to put all that information there in my notes as well, so that way I'll know if something ever happens, and God forbid if anything ever happens, I can always refer back to that batch. So that's a good way of that's good things that you can put in that section as well. So it's a lot of things you can, like I said, play around with this. We'll do a liquid soap. We'll formulate a liquid soap on live, and then we'll go ahead and start making it. Maybe we could do this on Thursday, actually, because I'm going to do a StreamYard where you can come up and craft as well, and as well as Saturday. Saturdays will be more relaxing, more fun, but you can still craft. You do have to be crafting if you want to come up on the live. You have to be crafting, except for Saturday, as long as Saturday is not interfering with other people crafting and talking to any of the viewers. But Thursday, you absolutely have to be crafting if you want to come up and interact and collaborate. You must be crafting and working on something. And please know what you're doing. And because we don't have no techs on here. I don't know how to fix no computers, no sewing machines, no embroidery machines. Thursday is going to be 7 is. Do y'all think 9 is better? Because I actually thought about moving Thursday to 9. I thought about doing it at 9. Either 7 or 9. Saturday is going to be, what did I put down? 3. Saturday will be at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Because I said that'll give the West Coasters time to do what they need to do in the mornings if they want to jump on and come on live. So that'll be about 3. I may even move that to 5 just to make sure that my West Coasters, that y'all are able to participate. But either Thursday's either going to be a 7 or 9. I haven't decided what time yet exactly, but it's either going to be 7 or 9. But that is actually how you act. That's how I calculate. That's how many of us who make soap calculate. We actually use this calculator because for one, yeah, I took trigonometry in school. I was a straight A student in math. Yes, I took the highest that you can go. But do I want to sit here and be trying to calculate this crap at 54 years old? Heck no. Like, no, I ain't got time for that. Plus, math didn't change. So use the tools that are given to you. Like I said, this app is free. And just use it. Use it while you can, because like I said, they've been trying to remove this app for years. Now, there are other calculators out there. There are other websites out there. I make a shaving bar soap where you have to use both lies. It's called dual lies. That is for the advanced soapers. Like that is something that's going to be down the line that I can show. But you have to know how to use both soaps. Now that I do have to use my own math. Now there is a website that has a calculator that's supposed to do it for you, but I have always found that calculator not to be accurate. My recipes never came out right. It's not a user-friendly website to me, and but so I don't like it. I do my own calculations when it comes to my shaving soaps. They're a little bit easier because you're actually technically only using 2 things besides the lye and the water. So I typically only use 2 oils. So, but that's something, like I said, we'll do later online, but it's really not that hard. So if anybody has any questions, please drop them down in the comment section, and I'll be sure to answer them for you. If you need to go over the soap calculator again, we can do so. We're already going to do it with the liquid soap, but if you have any questions as far as like the bar soap again, any of the process for the bar soap, I smell petals wrong. Please drop that down in the comments as well. Again, don't forget to like, subscribe, turn your notification bells on so that you'll be notified the next time I go live. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and end this live now. I thank you for coming on and giving me your time while I go over this tutorial with you. And you all have a great evening. Bye.